starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Bass in your face. Bass in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with this channel or watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions, but not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I also want to let everybody know that the subscriber mode has been enabled for the first 5 minutes. Meaning, if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you will need to be a subscriber to the channel for at least 5 minutes before you can enter your comments. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who have already subscribed to the channel. Whether you've been a supporter from day one or just joined as late as this week, I really appreciate all the love and all the warmth that you continue to give me. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, particularly when it comes to Instagram and TikTok. Your continued support really touches my heart. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter into your devices and all those who watch from the clouds, including the haters. I also want to let everybody know that I have another YouTube channel which is called Latina Diaspora. I wish when I talk about issues pertaining to Latinos, particularly Latinos living in the United States. So, what I'm going to ask you to do is the following. If you have not done so, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So, therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. So, as you can see by the thumbnail, the topic for tonight is myths regarding Puerto Ricans, Part 2. So, what we're going to do is we're going to be discussing more myths regarding Puerto Ricans, okay? Before we get into the main topic, we're going to have another episode of In My Words, and of course, I got quite a few things to say. As you recall from an earlier stream, which I think it was this week or last week, I'm not too sure, I devoted a stream regarding congestion pricing. Um, what was due to occur at the end of this month, that there will be additional fees that will be levied against vehicle traffic as they entered what's known as the congestion zone, which was the southern tip of Manhattan to 60th Street. Okay. And depending on where you're what part of the city you're in, it would have been an additional $30 Um, Fees would have been levied depending the type of vehicle that you operate entering into the so-called congestion zone. Well, today our governor, Kathy Hochul, had a press conference at which it was quote unquote put on pause, so to speak. And the reason behind that because her concern that it might be too much of a financial burden on New Yorkers. Okay. Now the whole purpose behind congestion pricing was to alleviate traffic going into Manhattan and also to provide a revenue stream for the Metropolitan Transit Authority or the MTA to provide additional funds for capital projects. Okay, so that plan has been put on hold, at least temporarily. Will it be resumed? We don't know. Okay. During parts of the day, at one point, it was said it was a pause. Um, Other part of the day was a temporary delay. So we will wait and see what will happen, whether or not this will go into effect, or where the governor will have to come up with another financial stream in order to provide funds for the MTA for capital projects. Such project is making more subway stations ADA accessible, um, repairs as far as our bridges is concerned, and our subway stations. Unfortunately, the MTA was depending heavily on congestion pricing, so we shall see what will happen in the near future. Okay. When there is additional information, I will provide it, and if necessary, I will devote another stream regarding um, congestion pricing. Okay. Now, another thing that I'm going to just talk with is going back and forth between um, as Articles United and Chrissy. Then going, I mean, look, this is my thing. If these two individuals wants to go back and forth and and devote content attacking each other, by all means, go ahead and do so. Now, in one of her videos, Exoticals United actually devoted a video where the members of the so-called Pretty Girl Club were encouraged to be more snobbish. I tried to watch the stream, but I could not watch it in its entirety because this is the issue I have. This is no personal slight regarding Exoticals United. But when you are encouraging um, ladies or women to be more snobbish and to base everything on looks alone and not on talent or ability, there is a problem. Beauty is fading, okay? It's very rare when you see ladies who are able to maintain their beauty into their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And with all with all due respect, I mean, there are other things to consider. Uh, Excuse me, just one moment. So, and you know what it does? It sets a bad precedent. So basically, it's they're basing everything on pretty privilege, and not on the character. Okay. Again, it's her platform. If that's one they want. If that's one they want to focus on, that's fine. I would not. I would not prefer to die on that bridge regarding pretty privilege because beauty is temporary. Beauty, you, as you go older, you lose you lose your external beauty. And if you really want to go the like calling on being a pretty face or whatever, that's fine. Not me. Okay. I prefer to stick to character than what pretty age. That's just my point of view. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. That's how I look at it. It's my platform. I'll say whatever the fluff I want. Moving to the next thing. It seems like Ebony K. Williams. I don't know what. I don't know what's her issue, but she got herself pregnant by artificial insemination. Okay. Now, in one of her videos, she advocated that black women get themselves pregnant by sperm donation. Now, first of all, I got no issue with Ebony K. Williams. She is free to do whatever she wishes. And if she decided to be a single mom at 40 years old, that's perfectly fine. However, it does raise a great deal of issues. First of all, even though she has the money, okay, the fact of the matter is each child needs a positive female role model and a positive male role model. And we see what has happened in many households when there's a single parent. Now, this is no knock against the single moms. I know that there are single moms that have done a great deal of good work as far as raising their children, but it is not the ideal situation. The ideal situation is that for a child that has a mother and a father, okay, and we have seen it nowadays, the result of offspring being raised by single mothers and single fathers. Good evening, Irby. Thank you very much for stopping up. I'm fine. In fact, we're having the topic for tonight. Um, the myths regarding Puerto Ricans, part two. So right now, I'm talking about Emily K. Williams, who apparently is pregnant. Yeah, okay. She had gotten herself pregnant through artificial insemination. Now, this is the thing. We have these modern women that talking about that they don't need a man. They don't need a man to get pregnant. Well, guess what, people? You need sperm to get pregnant. The last time I checked, it comes from men. So if you want to go ahead with that delusion, by all means, do so. But look, this is the issue that I have. You're not doing the child any favors, um, raising the child without a positive male role figure or model. I'm sorry. Call me old fashioned, call me out of style, call me whatever. But the reality is this, and the reason why we have a lot of these people, both men and women, are basically screwed up is because they're being raised without the benefit of a positive male role model and a positive female role model. Okay, you know what? Look, I disagree. Look, I disagree with the whole idea of women getting pregnant without the benefit of a father. But you know what? That is their choice. Okay, that is her choice. Now, I don't want to hear. I don't want any of these ladies talking about, "Wow, there is no good men out there." There is good men out there. Okay. The problem is you have people, both male and female, who have outrageous expectations when it comes to the members of the opposite sex. And I'm kind of debating whether or not to devote a whole string regarding Eddie K. Win. But then again, do we really want to get into this topic again? It does create something of the gender wars, and I don't want to add any fuel to the fire, so to speak. Um, there's a lot of issues, but when it comes to getting pregnant at age 40, also it does raise issues. Maybe her standards are too high. Okay, you see this? Yeah, I agree. This is something that I wish the modern woman would take into account. Yes, she was engaged, but the engagement didn't last for whatever reason. Why? I don't know. Um, it takes two people to end a relationship. It takes two people to end an engagement. It takes two people to end a marriage. But I think she's doing a great disservice on the child, which I believe she said is going to be a daughter. So basically, what's going to happen is the whole cycle is going to continue, and the African American society community is going to suffer again. See, this is another problem I have with the whole thing, because it creates a false narrative that women can go ahead and get pregnant through artificial insemination, that they don't need a man. Okay, we already have millions of households being raised by single men and single women. Okay, and what it talks about the poor choices people make. Now, again, let me make this perfectly clear. I'm not knocking, and not hitting, and not attacking single moms. Again, there are single moms that have done a great job raising their children. But let's keep it real, folks. This is not the ideal situation. The ideal situation that be a father and a mother, which but they both um, provide a nurturing environment for their children. You know what? Only Ebony K. Wins can address the reason why she's not married, and have to revolt, turn to artificial insemination in order to get pregnant. Okay, but I'm sorry, but becoming a single mom is not a flex. Now I know that some of the modern women do treat it as a flex. I don't. Okay. Now I don't. I'm kind of debating whether or not to devoting a whole stream to the whole thing. Um, we'll see. We will see. I will say this much. I would be doing a stream. Basically, it's a reaction video regarding Fresh and Fit, and then calling the supporters who don't wish or don't choose to contribute as being dusty. The last time I checked, There are many ways that you can support a channel without basically providing financial means. What you can do is you can like the video, you can make a comment on the video, you can also share it on your platform if you are a YouTube creator. Um, let's just say that as far as Fresh and Fit is concerned, um, their content leads a great deal to be desired of. Okay. And this is the thing. I don't have a problem with men or women educating themselves. Okay. The problem is this. When you have women that think that by educating themselves that somehow that they can create unrealistic values as far as getting a high quality man, let's make this perfectly clear. Most educated men, whether it be men or women, their annual salary is about 40 to 45,000 a year. And also let's take into account that they have to deal with student loan debt. So, and some of that student loan debt could be the equivalent of getting a mortgage on an apartment. And I have stated before, and I'll state it again. I mean, I think it's great if you decide to pursue a college education. Not everyone is wired to go to college. And you can be successful financially without getting a bachelor's degree. Okay? It is a question of finding a marketable job skill. Okay. So, and just as a highlight, next week's streams, I'll be talking about whether Fresh and Fit are losing it. Okay. You know what? It is her choice. She chose to be a baby mama at age 40. I'm sorry, but with all due respect, any woman that chooses outright to be a baby mama is not a flex, not in any stretch of the imagination. Okay. So next week's streams, Monday, I'm going to be talking about Fresh and Fit, whether or not they are losing it. So I'm going to be doing a reaction video. Wednesday, on my other channel, I'm going to be talking about why people should not use the N word. And when I mean the N word, I'm talking about as far as the hard ER. Okay? Because the fact of the matter is, it does not have a good history. Now, if people want to use the ER word, that's fine. They're free to do so. I'm just going to give you my humble opinion on why no one should, particularly Latinos. Because unfortunately, you have some Latinos that don't know the history regarding that. And if you want to use it, fine. Not me. Not me. And of course, Friday is going to be a shout out to the fathers because it's Father's Day the following week, the following Sunday. Now, another thing, this Sunday, I will be going to the National Puerto Rican Day Parade. I will not march in the parade. However, I will be sitting in the VIP section, So I'll be able to take pictures, send it to my union. I will also load images on my YouTube on both channels. Okay, so I was given 2 tickets. So I'm trying to find someone to go with me. Okay, I consider myself very fortunate because, first of all, I'll be able to enjoy the parade without having to walk. You know what? Look, let me tell you something. When it comes to Father's Day, I mean, let's face it, the fathers, if mothers are the unsung heroines, Father's Day is more of the unsung heroes. And I mean, look, when it comes to Father's Day, just like when it comes to Mother's Day, it could be a bittersweet um, event due to the fact that for some people, their fathers are gone, number one. Also, some people may not have the best relationship with their fathers. It's understandable. It's not my, I'm not trying to add any salt to the wound, but to simply to acknowledge those men who have provided a positive male role model image to others. Okay. And of course, it's a bit of sweet for me because my father has been dead almost 12 years. And he happened to pass away around the time of my birthday. So that makes it bittersweet. But in the same way as I honor all the fathers alive and dead, which the fathers, the stepfathers, the adopted fathers, the grandfathers, and anyone, any male who provided a positive role image, role model image. So, with that being said, we're going to get into the main topic. That's right. Hit that like button, okay? It doesn't cost you anything, and it does help on it. Before I continue, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. This week, this platform actually reached 100,000 views, and we're close approaching 400 subs. I'm at 393, and with all of that, it's due to the love and support that I continue to receive from you, the supporters, which I affectionately refer to as the uncommon folk. Okay, it's been almost 3 years that I've been a YouTube creator, and the fact that the amount of growth that I've gotten. Thank you, Irby. Regarding this platform, it's amazing. I'm humbled by the amount of love and support that I receive from all of you. And even my other channel, which is it's a struggle channel, is starting to pick up some views as well. So I really appreciate it. And again, the link to get to the other channel is in the description. Now, before I get into the main topic, I want to state that the link to join the panel has been pinned. So anyone wishes to join the panel and opine regarding the topic, they can do so. One thing I will ask, in fact, I will insist on, that if I have never seen you before, that please come up in the backstage before I let you on the panel. The reason why I'm insisting that you do that is I want to make sure that you're not one of these people that's going to flash any inappropriate images that will cause the good people of YouTube to take down the stream. So what I'm going to do is talk about some of the myths, more additional myths regarding um, Puerto Ricans. Okay, one myth, um, not many people hold it, but unfortunately some people do, is that you have Puerto Ricans from the island that hate the mainline Puerto Ricans. Okay, first of all, that's not true. Okay, in fact, I know for one thing, the times that I've gone to Puerto Rico to visit family, things of that nature, they have warmly embraced me. Okay, even when I couldn't speak Spanish. Okay, because as some of you may or may not know, I learned Spanish relatively late in my life, in my teens. And the reason why behind that is that my parents encouraged me to speak mainly English. So because when I make sure that I have the highest opportunity to succeed in society here in New York. So that's one of the myths. So I can rest assure you, there is no hatred with the mainline Puerto Ricans towards those of the Puerto Rican diaspora. Okay. At the same token, they're not trying to gatekeep what consider Puerto Ricans to us. Now, in all fairness, and I've stated this when I did part one, there are differences between the Puerto Ricans that were born and raised in the United States compared to Puerto Ricans born and raised in Puerto Rico. Okay. First of all, we're more used to the American culture here. Okay. Also, there's a different, it's a different environment here in United States. It's more of a very quick, active environment. In Puerto Rico, it's more laid back, more chill. And while there are, sometimes there's a challenge because of the language, but for the most part, they embrace us. Now, another myth, and this is something that I learned when I did part one, that there are some diaspora Puerto Ricans trying to gatekeep and try to artificially determine what's to be Puerto Rican based on race, mainly that you have to have a certain amount of Taino blood, that you have to be Caucasian. Okay, now for those of you who are not familiar, the Tainos are the name of the indigenous people of Puerto Rico. Okay, unfortunately, there's not too many of them left. That's because either um, they marry into, they mix in and marry with the Spaniards, uh, with the melanated people, the Africans they brought in the slaves. Yeah, mestizos. Okay. Oh, some of them unfortunately were killed. Okay. Um, and that's something that I did not know. And this is more has to do with the millennial diaspora Puerto Ricans. Um, where they get that philosophy, I really don't know. My understanding that this does, I mean, this situation does not apply when it comes to Puerto Ricans that are either baby boomers or Gen Z people, Generation X people. And for the benefits of those who don't know, baby boomers are the people that were born or raised between 1946 and 1964. And Generation X, those are the people that were born between 1965 and 1980. And another myth is that we are Puerto Ricans are trying to determine what makes a person Puerto Rican based on race alone. Now, I've said this many times. I don't consider myself white. I don't consider myself black. I don't consider myself indigenous. And the reason why is that I choose to embrace all three elements of my culture. Okay? So part of our culture comes from Spain. Part of our culture comes from Africa. And part of our culture comes from the indigenous people. Unfortunately, you have certain individuals in our community which are called now I see here we have a guest. So before we continue, let me just state for the record that the views of those who appear on the panel are not necessarily those of the host of the channel. Any attempt to copy the material without the consent of the host is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your right on your image. Some of the views that people hold may be considered offensive to some viewers. If you do not like the channel, you can block the content. You can block the channel. And now, okay. Good evening, Ramon.
Good evening, Don Jose. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Wow, thank you for coming for stopping by. I'm doing fine. Um, so we continue with part two with the myths regarding Puerto Ricans. But before we get
Mhm.
into that, I'm gonna be sitting in the grants and the VIP grandstands for the parade on Sunday.
That's good. That's very good. That's excellent. All
Yes,
right, do your thing. Have a good time.
yes,
That's what that's about. Unfortunately, I did mention something relatively recently that I wanted to check out the parade. I can't do that because I have a trip coming up, but it's about taking care of some business, so I can't go to New York. But at least I want to be able to check it out at least one time. What's up, intro? What's up, Irby?
okay. Do they have like any type of a Puerto Rican parade in your community?
I understand that because the community is so small. Um, if there is such a thing, it's not really talked about. I don't really find anything on Instagram. Maybe I will really have to look into it on Facebook. A parade per se, but there are certain activities where kind of like a few people, because there are a few thousand, there are like a few tens of thousands of Puerto Ricans out here. But a parade per se, I don't know about anything like that. I mean, but there are like other places in the Northeast where they do parades. But out here, when I'm at, no, I don't know anything about that.
So,
That's something I would
um,
really have to look up to see
yeah.
if there is anything like it.
I was just sharing earlier that I was surprised that millennial, the aspirant Puerto Ricans that were trying to gatekeep what they considered is to be a Puerto Rican.
I mentioned something about that. There are certain diasporans. There are certain diasporans that are trying to gatekeep their identity based on race, which is something that on the island we don't do that. we don't do that. We don't gatekeep based on race because we don't really care about that. We're not concerned. We're not stuck on race. I understand the logic. I understand the logic because I gave the example of people that are in New Zealand and the native peoples that are the Maori. But the Maori are brown people. They're brown people, and they have native rituals and native cultures. But if you there are things like where they express something that is called like a haka, something like that. You can look it up. But the thing is that if you see somebody doing like a ritual demonstration, kind of like doing that involves chanting and doing certain choreograph movements and things like that, you're gonna see a whole bunch of white people doing that because they're New Zealanders. So even though these rituals and these chants that they do out of the Maori people, you see white New Zealanders doing them because they figure that belongs to them too because they're New Zealanders, and it looks weird from the outside. From the outside, it kind of looks weird. So I understand the logic of it, but the thing is that in Puerto Rico, because pure Tainos, really, there is no such thing. I mean, if you find something that is considered more of a predominantly with a predominant Taino bloodline, that's somebody most likely that is going to be very elderly. They're not going to live much longer. And there is nothing like that in the younger generations because there has been so much mixing. But there are certain younger people that is particularly in the Northeast who try to gatekeep the Puerto Rican identity based on race, and that's a non-starter. That's a non-starter in the island. For us on the island, is usually more about are you born on the island? Are your parents? Are your both of your parents Puerto Ricans, or at least one of your parents being Puerto Rican? So it's kind of like I can mention of a certain influence who is 100% Chinese, but because she was raised in Puerto Rico, she says herself as a Puerto Rican herself. But she's 100% Chinese. But because she was raised in Puerto Rico and you try to tell her that she's not Puerto Rican, that it's going to be an argument because you can't tell her otherwise. So, and it's not only this influence answer. There are like a couple of other influencers that are born and raised on the island, but they're 100% Asian. But they're born and raised in the island, and you can't tell them that they're not Puerto Ricans. And generally, that's accepted. Born and raised on the island, okay, you're Puerto Rican. It doesn't matter that you're Asian. So we don't do the gatekeeping thing based on race. Again, I understand the logic, but so many, a lot of us do have some of the bloodline, the Taino bloodline, because that wasn't completely erased. Because the pure Tainos, they may not be around, but some of the bloodline still remains. I haven't done a DNA test, so I don't know how much of it do I have.
Well,
Eventually, I might check it out. Yeah.
so you think that could be the reason why you have some of the aspirants that try to gatekeep and determine what is a Puerto Rican based on what you mentioned earlier?
No, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like I mentioned, I understand the logic because of given the example that I gave you. I can understand the logic, but I don't. But I don't think it's right. I don't. That whole thing will not go anywhere on the on the island because there are people that are considered Puerto Rican, but they may be like 100% somewhere from Europe, their bloodline, but they were born and raised on the island, so they are what they were called a criollo. a criollo, somebody who was born on the island, even though they may be 100% European. They may be European, but they were born on the island, and they see themselves as Puerto Rican. They don't see themselves as whatever it is that their ancestors came from. And that has been pretty much since like the 18th century, when more and more of the whole criollo thing was becoming more and more of a thing. They saw Puerto Rico as their homeland. It didn't matter what their heritage was, what their racial heritage was. They saw Puerto Rico as their homeland. They didn't see Europe as their homeland.
Yeah. I recall that our friend Denise was mentioning something about a certain group of people that try to cosplay about being Puerto Ricans, even though they did not know the language, know the customs.
Well, I don't blame them completely for that. I understand what Denise is trying to say. I don't share the whole separation thing, because that's not how I look at it. I do exhort diasporans to connect with the island, to meet with people of the island, connect with the island. I don't want the whole separation thing, because the circumstances of the diasporans, that's not something that they necessarily asked for. And migration, it was because of need. If they had the choice, they wouldn't have left the island. So I'm not holding that against. I don't hold that against the diasporans. Um, and I don't believe that we should be separated. It
Well,
would be best to recognize that recognize the differences, but I don't want the separation. I mean, nothing good is gonna come out of the whole division thing.
you know what? I think one thing we have to bear in mind is that there are differences based on our experiences, because life in the United States is completely different to life in Puerto
Hmm.
Rico. Would you agree?
Well, I have lived in both places, so I should know. I should know that there are differences. There are advantages of being in the states, and there are advantages of being on the island. There are certain things that do become a little more, a bit better, a bit better when it comes to everyday living. Here in the states, cost of living is much higher, of course. But when it comes to basic services, there are Puerto Rico could take notes from it. I mean, especially now after Maria, how devastated was the power grid, and the power grid hasn't recovered. They haven't been able to recover. They have been able to patch it up. But as soon as there is a strong wind blows, a little bit of rain falls, there goes there goes the power. There goes the light. Yeah.
Mm. I see. But there are other myths. Some of them are more cultural, some of them are more religious. Like, for
Hmm.
example, there's another myth that all Puerto Ricans are Catholic. I mean, you have Puerto Ricans who are not Christian. You have Puerto Ricans who are Muslim. You have Puerto Ricans
Hmm.
who belong to just about every conceivable religious denomination.
Hmm. Hmm. Like every other Hispanic group, the majority may be considered Catholic, but that's pretty much the same across the board in Latin America, and the so-called Latin America, which is the majority are considered um, Catholic, but there are people that are other denominations, other Bible-based religions, and the ones that are Muslims. It's a very tiny minority, but I understand that um, Islam, as a religion, Islam is becoming more and more of a thing in certain parts of what is referred to as Latin America. Little by little, it's becoming more of a thing. The converts of Islam. That you can look up this place in Houston where there is this Colombian guy who who became Muslim. It was like just before what happened in 9/11. So, and him being out there, being having converted to Islam, and people coming to him either to question him about what were the motives for what happened on 9/11, sometimes getting attacked for the religion. But it's becoming more and more of a thing. And even this guy that was called William Rodriguez, who was the only person on 9/11 who was in the buildings. He did maintenance in the buildings. And he will go up and down the stairs of those buildings all the time. He was like the only person that day that had a key, and he was able to go in and out. And he was actually somebody who told his story. And one of the things that he says is that he converted to Islam himself. So that's becoming a little bit more of a thing. I understand that in parts of Europe, Islam is becoming more of a thing. Again, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about Europe. But yeah, it's a very tiny minority, but I understand that it's growing.
Yeah. Just to change the subject a little bit, there's been some changes when it comes to congestion pricing. That's been the implementation has been delayed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Actually, well, good. Was there some kind of legal action that helped that?
Well, okay, so this is what Kathy Hochul, who was our governor, said that she had concerns regarding how people are going to be hit with a financial burden
Mm-hmm.
with congestion pricing. Now, the whole another motive for it was to raise like a revenue stream for the Metropolitan Transit Authority, so they can
Mm-hmm.
have funds to like upgrade the roads and the bridges and make more of our subway station more ADA accessible. So
Mm-hmm.
now they're going to have to come up with another source of revenue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, well, I mean, you are from there, you know how things work, you will have a better idea of what could be the alternative to nickel and diming people that are just trying to get maybe to work or maybe to trying to get to their destination. I do believe that adding more cost to just because you want to enter a certain part of New York City, I think that's BS. So I'm sure that they can get that money somewhere else. I mean, New York, as you know, is a big financial, it's a kind of like a big economic dynamo.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that they can get that money some other way. I mean, the
Well,
New York is a top economy, one of
yeah.
the biggest economies in the world. So I'm sure
I
that they can
mean,
get it somewhere else. Mhm.
we do have our problems. Of course, we have crime, we have litter, we have people.
Yeah,
We
that
have,
has direct. Yeah, yeah. Well, overpopulation. It's overpopulated. Well, people are one on top of the other, and and I remember that at some point when I was there, I was going around Manhattan. It was so crowded that I started for some reason I started to feel a little dizzy and uncomfortable because I was feeling like so many people around and and it was so crowded, and apparently I'm developing a bit of a phobia to that, to crowds. But it did get to a point when I wasn't feeling too comfortable. It was all right. It was all right. It was a good experience that I would like to repeat sometime. But at times I did feel like it was too crowded for my taste.
yeah. And of course, we do have a very slight rodent problem in the subways.
Don't start. Don't start, Jose. Okay.
I mean, we do see a mousey here and there, okay, and Something.
Uh, okay, okay. Yeah, sure. So you say, Okay. Oh man, it the other thing. This is something that I might want to um that I might do a short video on that myself. Is that there is this recently created myth. These are recently created, it seems. I think I sent you the video on that. Of people questioning whether we are Caribbean or not. That one burns. That really burns my
Okay. Excuse me.
about it. Uh-huh.
Isn't okay. Isn't Puerto Rico in the Caribbean?
Apparently, according to certain people here in the states, no, that we're not Caribbean.
So what? So
these are
what are
people.
we?
These are people that have never looked at a map before. There are people that they want to yell at us talking about that we're West Indian. Now there are people that want to yell at us talking about that we're not Caribbean. I mean, the people that do that, they are confused. They don't know. They don't know what they're talking about. They have never looked at a map. That's all they have to do. They need to look at a map, and they will see. They will see that Puerto Rico, the southern coast of Puerto Rico, is bordered by the Caribbean Sea. Puerto Rico is Caribbean. Like they need to shut up and stop arguing.
I'd like to know what drugs these people are on to come up with this theory.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole southern coast of the island, that all of that water that washes on the beaches of the southern coast of the island, yeah, that's the Caribbean Sea. It's really that simple. There is nothing to argue about. There is nothing to question. But the thing is that you saw the video, and there was this guy who was questioning this New Yorican about whether we. No, you're not. You're in Caribbean because you're Spanish. You're Spanish. Okay. And that's another myth. Talking about the word Spanish. We're not Spanish. We never we never call ourselves that. That's another myth that we're Spanish. Not even the wider Puerto Ricans, not even they call themselves Spanish. You're never gonna hear themselves calling themselves that. That's other groups that wanna call us Spanish because of the other language that we speak. But we're not Spanish. And somebody who is Spanish, that's somebody from Spain. Like get that whoever insists on calling us Spanish, get that through your heads. Somebody who's Spanish is somebody from Spain, as in Spaniard. Stop calling us Spanish. We're not Spanish.
Ramon, maybe they need to go to Spain and try to tell the Spaniards over there that they're Spanish.
Uh, okay. Then they will be correct. If they're telling a Spaniard that they're a Spaniard, then they will be correct. But stop calling us that. We're not Spanish.
Oh boy. Talking about delusional.
Yeah.
What can you say? Of course, the other myth is that Orchard Beach is a dirty, disgusting beach.
Well, that's not a myth. No, that's not a myth. That's very real. that's that's very true, very real. There is no arguing about that.
Have you actually been to Orchard Beach yourself?
I've heard about it a lot, and I believe it.
Okay, but hearing about it and actually going there are two different things.
Okay, next time I go to New York, I'll look at it from afar.
I mean, remember that video I sent you when I compared when Puerto Rico was compared to, as the French Riviera of the Bronx?
Mm-hmm. What was that? What was that? I didn't.
That Orchard Beach is considered the French Riviera of the Bronx.
Just because you repeat it a lot, I mean, just because you repeat that, you keep saying that doesn't make it true. Like, stop.
Well, I think you should visit the beach for yourself, and then you can make an assessment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But let me tell you something. There there are other stereotypes that that not just applicable to Puerto Ricans, but to Latinas in general. Okay, which is all Latinas sex kittens. No, they're not all. They're not all nymphomaniacs. Okay, you have some Latinas that are very conservative.
Well, that's because maybe that's because of the Jennifer Lopez effect, who can who, who can't keep a man, and and for years she was kind of like hopping around from man to man to man. So that really didn't help. That really didn't help the reputation of Puerto Rican women, because they look at how much uh, how much Jennifer Lopez has been hopping around for years, for the last couple of decades, going from man to man to man to man. Now, when she was with Mark Anthony, she was actually married to him, and she kind of like calmed down. She calmed down on that shit for a number of years, but eventually they end up getting divorced. Apparently, they are on good terms. But still, they're already talking about that she's gonna be divorcing Ben Affleck, right? Because she can't be happy. She can't be happy.
Well, Denise has a particular name for Jennifer Lopez.
I'm sure. Yeah. That's what a lot of people call her. So I'm not gonna call her that, but yeah, she doesn't have the best reputation because she just won't let up. I mean, maybe she has quieted down because she's already pushing 60 years old. But not that long ago, she just wouldn't let up on the and doing the cougar thing. Even when she got together with that dancer, like stop.
Well, speaking about cougars, would you believe that Ebony K. Williams is pregnant at 40 through artificial insemination?
No. Yeah, I heard about them, but that doesn't concern us. That's not our concern really. But it's not surprising. It's not surprising that she's doing that because she thinks that she's proving this big point. She thinks she's proving a point, and she's not. But I don't want to get into that. It's not our business. Not really. Not really.
No. But you know what? I just find it odd. But you know, it's her life. I just feel bad for the child.
Yeah, that's the only victim in this in the whole situation because she's intentionally having a kid because that she thinks that that's the solution. The solution for her loneliness. Maybe she's really lonely and she would rather do that instead of doing it the right way, doing that with a partner. Because the kids do need fathers, and that's very selfish of her. What she's doing is very selfish, because that kid is gonna need. You give a kid a better chance by having a two-parent home. That's when they have a better chance, and that's she's just messing up. She's lowering her value.
Yeah.
She still has some value because okay, she was single, she was older, very good looking, but at least she didn't have any kids. And there I'm sure there were a lot of guys out there that wanted to be with her. I'm sure there were. But
Yeah.
again, she thinks she thought that she could um that she could prove a point. She's proven some type of point. What it was that? I don't know.
Well, you know, all I can say is, like I said before, she can do whatever she wants, but I really do feel bad for her child.
Mhm.
But that's neither here nor there.
Mhm. Mhm.
But
Yeah.
any other myths regarding Puerto Ricans that you wish to share?
Well, I mean, maybe if we go back to kind of like the very beginning, that that whole notion that the island when they were Tainos only, and uh, when they first when the Spaniards first showed up, and they make it seem like the Spaniards showed up and pacified the Taínos right away. That's not what happened. They were at war for years, at least 20 years, and and eventually, I mean, they were able to gain more of a foothold on the island. But the reason that they were able to come in to come into the island is because at first at first they were being diplomatic. They were being diplomatic, and they were betrayed. They were
Yeah.
betrayed. The Taínos were betrayed. It's not because they were weak. It's because they welcomed them in because that was their nature, and that's the nature. That's something that we still carry to this day. But the thing is that the colonizers betrayed them, and when they got in, when they were in the island, the colonizers betrayed them, and then they went to war for many years.
Mhm.
So that whole notion that they were in is because the Spaniards were able to take over easily because the Taínos were so weak. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. That's a myth.
Well,
So
first of all, let's keep it real. I mean, because first of all, the Spaniards they had guns, which
yeah,
you can
they had steel, they had guns, they had cannons, steel swords, they had cavalry because they came in with their horses, and so they had an advantage. Definitely, they had an advantage, but they didn't take a lying down. Is what I'm saying.
not only that, but they also brought certain diseases where the Taino
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. They had
people.
the diseases because when they eventually were able to enslave them, not only that they were exploiting them, and that was killing them. They were losing their lives because of their enslaving and they harsh mistreat them. But they were also getting in contact with people that had these diseases because they were not very. The Spaniards were not hygienic people. They weren't. I mean, to these days, to this day, I'm not trying to talk shit about them. I'm not trying to talk badly about them. But to this day, they don't shower every day. They don't have a consistent hygiene regimen. They might shower every few days or so. So
Could you
that's
okay?
still like that to this day.
I mean, could you imagine uh, not showering every day in that heat?
Uh, stank, stank. That's all. Yeah, that's all I can say. It will be stanky. Nah, nah.
Well, let's also I'm not also let's keep it real that um, they had a different concept when it comes to hygiene than what we have today.
hmm hmm It may be better. They may be better at it today, but still, I understand that they don't necessarily shower every day. So they still be stank. Maybe at least maybe on the days where it's colder or whatever. Maybe they don't shower in those days, but even in the warmer days, they may not shower every day. So I couldn't
Could
do it.
you?
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I mean, could you imagine having sex with someone that doesn't bathe every day?
It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. I couldn't be with somebody that doesn't shower every day. That's very much a requirement for me. I mean, I'm not. I don't give proper loving tongue love to somebody who doesn't shower. That's nasty. So yeah.
Okay. I mean, could you imagine making love to someone that's say 600 pounds, who don't
Mm.
bathe daily, who don't know how to wipe their butt?
No, no, because I wouldn't do it. That just wouldn't be happening. It just wouldn't be happening. Absolutely not.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, look. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, the concept of bathing daily. I mean, that's considered fairly new. I
Hmm.
mean, particularly like in Europe. I mean, like in the Middle Ages, and then you know going into like the Renaissance. I mean, basically, one of the reasons why you had plagues is that there was no way. Basically, there's no way to get clean water. That basically people just drink out of the water that they did their business in,
Hmm. Hmm.
which explains why people get sick.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, when you're going to be doing a live stream or posting any content?
Oh man. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. It's just that I have been distracted and dealing with certain family drama right now, so I haven't been concentrated on that at all. I have been dealing with BS. So eventually I'll get around to do something. It's just that I'm dealing with more immediate things right now.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. One thing, and I always make it a point stating that it takes a lot of time and energy to produce content.
Yes.
Okay, it's
Yep.
not like, I mean, it's not like you're just opening up StreamYard and you just open your mouth and you just say whatever on your mind. You have to, you have to prepare yourself properly.
Yeah.
You-
You need to speak on everyone in case. No, I don't have to say anything that hasn't been said already. I mean, the girl, the girl, she had options. She had options, but now she messed that up. She messed that up because she thinks she's making a point. But again, that doesn't concern us. Anybody that does that is being selfish. Anybody.
well,
But yeah. When it comes to content and all of that, yeah, I'm trying to. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. If I can see, I can do something soon.
yeah, but you know what? I don't tend to do a lot of reaction videos because that's not my forte. I will be
Mm-hmm.
doing a reaction video regarding Fresh and Fit on Monday.
Mm-hmm. All right, do your thing.
So
Mm-hmm.
so basically, in one stream, they call their supporters who don't send donations their way is dusty.
Yeah, that's not what you wanna. That's not what you wanna be saying. I mean, and I'm sure that was Myron who said that because
Yeah,
he's the one who kind of like gets a little reckless with his mouth. And he's a smart dude. He has a lot to say, but yeah, sometimes his mouth gets away from him. Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, they're lucky that they didn't that the channel was not deleted, but simply that they lose their ability to make money. It's just that,
Hmm.
hey, when you decide to produce content that's questionable to say the least, and
Yeah.
then you put women that, and I'm trying to keep it, you know, um, at least G rated or PG rated, which we don't have the highest moral character. I mean, what do you expect?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. It's a
but like,
mess. It's a mess.
yeah, but like I said before, you have the right to produce whatever content that you wish. It does that.
Hmm.
There are consequences when you constantly air content where it violates the community guidelines. I mean, eventually what's going to happen is you lose your ability to make money, okay, and or your channel can be deleted.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So, but I was really surprised that some of the millennial diasporans trying to determine artificially what is Puerto Rican and what's not.
Yeah, but that's a, yeah, yeah. There is that one thing with certain diasporans with the gatekeeping, but there is apparently this other faction trying to dictate to us whether we are Caribbean or not, and that one I take offense trying to tell me that I'm not Caribbean. Like, get out of my face with that.
Well, I guess well, I would suggest that these people, number one, they actually do a Google search on Puerto Rico, and they will find that it's in the Caribbean Sea.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
and then if they still think that we're not Caribbean, well, there's maybe they should be placed in a 72 hour involuntary observation period in a straitjacket and be placed in a rubber room.
yeah, yeah. More than 72 hours, but yeah, yeah. I mean, again. These are people that it tells you something about the education system. It's kind of like going backwards. We are living in a time where we have access to information more than ever, but it's like people are just less and less educated. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it, and they're choosing to. They're choosing. There is apparently some type of, like they say, ignorance is bliss. Apparently, to some people, I don't get it. I don't understand it. We're living in a time where we're supposed to be the most educated with the most access to information, and we're more disinformed than ever. I don't get it.
See, there is education that's like book level education, and then there's education based on reality and common sense. Unfortunately, some of these people are going to be more ignorant every as and we're living in a time where there's so much access to information, and basically everything is being loaded in social media, but people are choosing to be ignorant.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like a choice at this point in time, at this point in society. Uh, Being ignorant is a choice. It can be a choice. Yeah.
yeah, and you know what? And okay, I'll look. Okay, I'll say it this way. To some people, it's like an advantage because if you're ignorant, therefore you're not accountable for what you know.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But what that does, it makes you successful. Accept. Pray to those that have a little bit of knowledge, or they pray to the knowledge that's interested and into their own interpretation. Like
Hmm.
the the MAGA sheep crowd, or the Terry Queeners, as Denise like to phrase it.
Yeah, they're not sheeps. They're not sheeps, as I call them. I haven't seen. I really don't see anything about it because that whole FBA thing, that was never a thing. That wasn't a thing. That was there are decent Black Americans, and there are the Nasheeps. That whole FBA garbage that is not a thing outside of YouTube and social media. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. So it's just some. There are some of his cult followers that want to talk really loud, and they feel emboldened about it because of that label that was recently created. It's not based on anything real. So yeah, they don't matter.
Yeah, it says delusion, 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 or as someone put someone being delulu.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So again,
So,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they say.
yeah.
They can call themselves whatever, but it's just not a thing. It's not real. So.
Okay. Any other myths about us that you like to share?
Mm. um, any another myth. You know that I looked a little bit and I couldn't find like myths about us as a people, but myths about the island. And one that I found that I don't think is accurate because they say something about there being the legend of La Llorona. The thing is that the whole La Llorona thing, that's a Mexican thing. They have a legend of La Llorona, but there were I found somebody suggesting that there is like the Puerto Rican equivalent of La Llorona. I have never heard of that. I have never heard of such a thing in Puerto Rico. Never heard of it. I have heard about the
Well,
chupacabra. There is
yeah.
the legend of the chupacabra. I have heard of that, but not about Puerto Rican equivalent of La Llorona. I've found something, and it's basically kind of like the same legend, the same myth, the thing about La Llorona from Mexico, but they just took the whole concept, the whole thing, and put it in Puerto Rico. It's not real. It's not real.
Yeah.
I never heard of such a thing. I know about the cuco, which is kind of like the boogeyman. This is another the myth of a cuco, but that's just the boogeyman
Now,
that I would hear about when I was a kid.
now, how did the chupacabra came into being?
Well, because they have actually found in the countryside farmers, people that have finca, which are farms, and they have different animals or chickens. There have been instances in which they will find these farmers that will find animals dead with their blood drained. I mean, kind of like because the chupacabra, the word chupacabra literally means goat sucker. And they will find, these farmers will find chickens and goats and other animals. They will find them dead with their blood drained out. And that's where that comes from. Nobody knows exactly what it looks like. It's some type of animal, but nobody knows exactly what it looks like. So it's kind of some type of animal that might run around on two legs, but it's kind of like a very vampire type of animal because they drain they drink the blood from the animals themselves. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. No, because of course, as growing up, I heard about the cuckoo. I heard
Hmm.
about the chupacabra. Um, could it be maybe someone created the myth of the chupacabra in order to get children to behave?
Not the chupacabra, no, no, no. El cuco. That's what they tell to kids. They need to behave themselves and go to bed earlier because if they don't do that, the cuco is gonna get them. That's what the cuco is about. But the chupacabra, it is based on uh, that is actually based on something that is been documented. The attacks on farm animals. So no, no, no. Chupacabra is it may be a really thing, but a real thing, but we don't know exactly what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, I was kind of hoping that our friend Denise will show up, but people are busy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, uh, as a family at home, that's more important. That's
Yes,
understandable. So
that's
yeah.
true. That's true. So, like I said, I'm really looking forward to the parade. The fact that I'll be able to sit in the VIP section, and of course they'll feed us.
Hmm. Okay.
So, and of course I'll be taking pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. Do that. Do that. Let us see later.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
definitely. So I did invite someone to come to the parade. So I'm kind of hoping that they'll let me know because I don't want to waste a ticket. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it is what it is. But I think
Mm-hmm.
generally, the Puerto Rican Day Parade is usually like the second Sunday in June.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe next year, maybe you'll be able to spend a week in New York and see the
Let's
parade.
oh, let's see. Let's see if something can be worked out. Yeah, that will be
Yes,
all right.
and then
Mm-hmm.
you can see some of our cultural events.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we also have the Yankees, who have the best record in baseball.
Okay, okay. That's fine. That's good. That's good. It's kind of like the equivalent of the Celtics in basketball. Um, but that's fine. That's all right.
And you can also see for yourself Orchard Beach in all its glory.
I don't think it's gonna smell too good either. Not interested. Not interested.
And of course, we have to admit, we have to be honest, we do have, a voting problem here in New York with the Mousies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I have told you about the mouses. That the- that they'll fight you and steal your pizza.
Well, it's funny because I've been living in New York all my life, and I never see a mouse try to fight me.
Mm-mm. A rat, a whole rat. Yeah, but it's just some of them are so fat that they don't have the energy to fight. I mean, I have seen those videos of those fat rats that are they run around, running around in a liquor store or a bodega. That's messed up.
Well, believe it or not, I actually did see a rat in Rochester.
A rat in Parkchester, but
Yes.
today, right? Today.
No, in my lifetime in Rochester.
Stop. You're supposed to see like one daily at least.
No. We do see squirrels though.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, squirrels. I see it here. I see that here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
But that's about it. Any other animals running around? I don't see that over here. Um. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing that I can think of.
okay. Well, I think we had discussed it all. Um, the MIPS. I
Mm-hmm.
think at this point, we're going to take some closing remarks. So, of course, I'm going to invite the person that has the sexual fantasy of being tied down and make love to 1 million women who each weigh 600 pounds, who
No.
haven't bathed in 6 months, who haven't wiped their butts in a long time, who wants to go to Orchard Beach and swim in the water over there and actually get buried in the sand, who wants to go to Times Square on New Year's Eve in shorts and be hugged and kissed by strangers. The introvert Boricua.
Uh-huh. Thank you, Jose. But no. I have better taste than that. I'm not trying to be with no fat, overweight, type 4 diabetes, if there is such a thing. No, I'm not trying to be with anybody like that. But Jose, thank you for having me once again on your live stream. And when it comes to this subject, we'll see what they come at us with next. We might have to have a part three. We're gonna have to make it a series. If they come up with something new about making anything else about our identity a myth, and push back against it. We have to.
But,
We
but you
don't
know
do it, nobody
something.
will.
But,
Mhm.
but you know something. In order to have a part three, we really need to have that material because basically, I mean, when I did my research, it wasn't a lot of when it comes to myths regarding Puerto Ricans. It's more like myths regarding the island itself.
Yeah, that's what I see. That's what I saw. It's not so much myth about us as a people. It's about things that have to do with the island itself. Yeah, that's what I came to the same conclusion. I
Yeah.
came to the same result.
And for me to have a see, for me to have a part three, we really need to. I mean, need to have some more content. I mean, simply discussing the same thing over and over again, it gets
Hmm.
kind of stale after a while.
Yes, I get it.
Okay,
I got you. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we'll
so
see. We'll see if something comes up.
so,
Hmm.
so there's not going to be a backstage because I really don't have anything new to report other than, of course, the fact of the matter is I'm having a special visitor come see me next month. I'm still waiting
That's
to find out when.
good. Good. That's good.
And of course, I'm having surgery 3 weeks from today.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah. And it's now 197 days until the first day of winter.
Not interested. I'm happy to have a little warmth. It's getting warm again. Today was 100 degrees, which is not bad. I can have that every day. I can have that every day. I mean,
Wow.
100 degrees. I can have that every day. It's when it gets to 112. That's when that's too much for me. That's too
Well,
much.
well, I'm happy to report that the air conditioning is working very well in my job according to
Uh
my
huh.
specifications.
Yeah. Everybody else is freezing, I'm sure. Everybody else feels like they are in a meat locker. Because you have everybody miserable and suffering and shivering.
Well, you
I'm
know
sure
what?
you.
I'm happy to say that when they didn't have the air conditioning on, the delegates, the union reps got together and we complained. And so basically, what the management said, well, if people complain that it's too cold, then just wear a sweater. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
But I'm perfectly happy with with the office climate.
that's good. Good for you. Good for you. All right.
And
There is something that I do have to take care of, so I'm gonna be
yeah,
taking my
okay.
leave.
Well, thank you very much. So thank you very much, and have a good weekend. And whatever you do, try not to lose your cool.
Appreciate it, Jose. You too. You too. We'll talk again soon. Thanks
All
for
right,
having
take
me.
care.
Hmm.
So let me just give you my final remarks. It's just that there are always going to be misconceptions regarding not just Puerto Ricans but people in general, because people don't really know. Okay, uh, I would suggest that if you really don't know anything about us, that you ask us questions, and then we will do our best to answer them. But to continue, with the ignorance, I mean, I guess it's easier because if you're ignorant, therefore there's no accountability. So as always, huge shout out to all those who watch, whether it be on the chat or in the clouds. And of course, all of you are more than welcome to enter your comments after the stream is over. Just be mindful that any any crazy disrespectful comments will be deleted. Now, the next stream, I will be live on Monday at 9:30, and I'll be talking about a reaction video to Fresh and Fit. I don't usually do reaction videos, but you do have to do that, once in a while. So, of course, I'm going to give you my reaction to what it is. Good night, Irby. Thank you very much for stopping by. You're always very loyal. So we will end this the same we always end it. We must avoid the influences of the mentally and intellectually charged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by the stupidity and massive insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, saying good night, take care, peace, and a huge shout out to all the Boricuas on the Puerto Rican Day Parade, whether it be those that were born in the island or those living here in the United States. So take care and peace.